Hi, I'm Kathryn Garcia, and I'm running to be your next mayor. My experience in the New York City real estate market is that I have literally rented 3 apartments, and then I own a home which I've owned for more than 25 years. It's a long time. We add people, which is great. We want people to grow up here. We want people to move here. We want to be that dynamic city, but we never keep up with our population and making it so that there are real opportunities for people to rent, to own at the co-op level or the condo level, and then to own a house. We have to build affordable housing in this city, and I'm committed to build 50,000 units of deeply affordable housing. Part of it is our zoning. We need to upzone in areas that have strong transportation networks, that are vibrant communities. We need to make it so that the ULURP process is more streamlined. We have to make it so that those projects get ahead of the line. But it's also some of just the basics, getting a building permit, getting your fire department inspection done. Time is money. You know, I want to see more affordable housing units built. I want to see developers who are building anything include affordable housing in their projects. Their numbers have got to work so that they have the incentive to actually do that, and to make it so that we have more homes for people who can then live off their paychecks.
So is that a yes on incentivizing?
That is a yes on incentivizing. I think that real estate is in the blood of every New York City resident, and I don't actually understand how you decommodify housing. So I have been very clear that we need to be a city that is growing. I would have supported the Amazon deal. I believe that's a deal we should have been able to get done. I would have supported the Industry City deal. I am supportive of the Gowanus deal, which is going to be thousands of units of housing, thousands of families that are going to be able to have permanent housing. You want to make sure that you are engaged with community, but you also have to have a conversation around what is the end result. Because I will tell you that there isn't a politician out there in any of these communities that's going to say, I don't want affordable housing or I don't want jobs. Well, you get that by building. People do need to be protected, and we need neighborhoods to be stable, and rent stabilization does that. But we also need to make sure that we're not having unintended consequences of folks not having the money to do renovations on vacant apartments. This is very different than many other places in the country. We have a lot of small landlords. They control an enormous amount of the rent stabilized housing stock, and they have to be able to make it here as well. I think it's unlikely the state will renew it, given the current Senate and Assembly. We need to have all the tools we can to make sure that we're building affordable housing, but we also need to make sure that we're being efficient with our tax dollars into the future, and that 421A, in some cases, has not been the most efficient tool to get the units that we needed. In a very, very straightforward way, we have to start all over again. Everyone should be able to explain what their assessed value is and what their market value is and actually think that it's real. But still protect people in their neighborhoods as you make changes to the property tax system. But be clear that if you're getting a credit because you're a senior, or you're getting a credit because you've been in your neighborhood for 25 years or 30 years, but at the end of the day, we should be tagging it to something people understand, for example, like market value. Not necessarily. I think that I've said that perhaps for someone who's like an international person, but Not necessarily. I have no plans on that front, but I also haven't really looked at that in depth. I would like to see us have stable mom and pop, and I would work with the real estate industry to make that happen. That is one possibility on the table, but I think we need to look more broadly about how the property tax flows through on triple net leases, because sometimes it's the city that's raising the rent in those places. I would really like to see this be a lot lower barrier to entry for renters. I understand that brokers need to make money. They do hard work to show apartments, but it seems to me that perhaps we need to look at how big that percentage is. It was very hard when I was renting to come up with first and last and security and the broker's fee. So I would like to see there be some sort of longer conversation about how we can make it so it's easier for first-time renters to get into the market. That is an understatement. NYCHA needs to execute on the plan that it has. Make sure that we are doing the RAD projects, the rental demonstration projects, in partnership with the private sector. Make sure we're doing the blueprint, because this allows us to leverage large amounts of vouchers from the federal government and get people new apartments, literally new kitchens, new bathrooms, new elevators, and take care of those buildings. Doing nothing is a decision to condemn. Yes, and I have supported private mixed income on NYCHA land. It has to work for the tenants. It has to be something where they are getting real benefits from any new development, but I'd also just like to see more affordable housing, and that's an opportunity to have that in neighborhoods across the city. Landlords have to take Section 8 if it meets the rent. This is an enforcement issue, but this is also an educational issue. Tenants need to tell the city when they are coming up against landlords over and over again who are not willing to rent. And there are some ways in which the city can go out and do the analysis that has to happen by sending out enforcement agents and having them try and rent an apartment using a Section 8 voucher. It's a very effective way to find out who's breaking the law. If you are a homeowner and you have an extra bedroom, that would be fine. But what we've seen in the city of New York is people buying up apartments and then basically turning them into hotels. That's not okay. I like the idea of a lottery for affordable housing, that nobody has a leg up, nobody knows somebody who knows somebody to get them the apartment. I am very happy that the federal government has given us so much funding to help ensure that tenants and landlords do okay, but landlords still have to pay their utilities and their taxes, and so we can't just cancel rent. But luckily, we see a lot of money coming in for both tenants and landlords so that we can get through COVID and come out the other side. The real challenge in the city of New York is that we don't have enough housing, and people move into new neighborhoods because that's where they can afford. Neighborhoods in New York always evolve, and people are really just trying to find a home. We need to make sure that longtime residents don't feel pushed out by the fact that people are moving in.